For over a decade, we invited them into our living rooms. We watched their love story unfold, from a charming courtship to a picture-perfect marriage, surrounded by their beautiful children on the Roloff family farm. But what if it was all a lie? What if behind the curated Instagram posts and the scripted scenes of domestic bliss, a devastating secret was festering? A secret so profound, it would lead to financial ruin, a clandestine affair, and a courtroom battle that would shatter the Roloff legacy forever. Yes, you heard that right. Zach Roloff sold his house for $800,000 to pay off his secret debt. Tori Roloff cunningly stole Zach Roloff's saved $950,000 and secretly fled. And with the money, Tori Roloff goes to his secret boyfriend Joseph. Tori Roloff has been secretly in a romantic relationship with Joseph for the past 1 year. Tori Roloff secretly spent several occasions with her boyfriend Joseph in five-star hotel rooms. With this truth exposed, the situation turned even more tragic. Tori Roloff became overwhelmed and ultimately decided to leave him. And finally, Zach divorced his wife Tori Roloff. Later, Zach Roloff filed a lawsuit against Tori Roloff and Joseph in court. Finally, Tori Roloff and his new husband Joseph arrested. According to the court's verdict, Tori Roloff was sentenced to 3 months in prison for theft, and Joseph was fined $700,000. Buckle up. You are about to witness the collapse of America's favorite little family. This is the Roloff ruin. To understand the magnitude of the fall, we must first remember the height from which they fell. Zach Roloff and Tori Patton's love story was the stuff of fairy tales. Meeting through family connections, their bond was instant. We watched Zach, often portrayed as the underdog to his twin brother Jeremy, find his perfect match in Tori, a vibrant, outgoing school teacher who loved him for exactly who he was. Their life seemed charmed. They built a family, raising 3 beautiful children. They navigated the complexities of Zach's dwarfism and the potential for their children to inherit it with public grace and unwavering support for one another. Their home, a custom-built sanctuary, was a symbol of their success and stability. To the outside world, they were unbreakable. But as we now know, the strongest-looking walls often hide the deepest cracks. Beneath the surface of their reality TV income and social media influencer status, a financial storm was brewing. Sources close to the family have revealed that Zach, in an effort to secure his family's future and invest independently from the Roloff farm empire, made a series of high-risk, private investments between 2020 and 2022. These investments, primarily in tech startups and speculative real estate, failed catastrophically. Confidential documents we've obtained indicate that Zach accumulated a secret debt of nearly $650,000. The pressure was immense. With 3 young children and a lifestyle to maintain, the monthly payments became a crushing burden. He hid this from Tori, believing he could fix it himself, a decision that would ultimately have dire consequences. By the spring of 2023, the jig was up. The debtors were circling, and Zach could no longer keep the secret. He sat Tori down and delivered the devastating news. To avoid financial ruin and protect their credit, they needed to sell their beloved home. The public reason given was downsizing and seeking a more manageable property, a story fans readily accepted. But insiders tell a different story. The sale was a fire sale, a necessity. The house sold quickly for approximately $800,000. Public records confirm the sale. The plan, as Zach presented it to Tori, was to use the bulk of the proceeds to pay off the secret debt entirely, then use the remainder as a down payment on a more modest home and start over, debt-free. It was a painful but clean slate, or so he thought. What Zach did not tell Tori during that initial conversation was the existence of a second, even larger financial account. Throughout his life on Little People, Big World, Zach had been quietly salting away a portion of his earnings. This wasn't just savings. This was his escape fund, his ultimate security blanket, amassing to a staggering $950,000. He kept it in a separate private account, under only his name. In his mind, this money was untouchable, reserved only for the most extreme family emergencies. After the house sale, his plan was to pay off the $650,000 debt from the sale proceeds and keep his $950,000 nest egg completely intact. It was a secret he believed was necessary, but one secret often begets another, far more dangerous one. While packing up their home for the move, Tori was going through Zach's office files. It was then she stumbled upon a single, innocuous-looking piece of paper, a quarterly statement for an account she had never seen before. The balance took her breath away. $950,000. The betrayal she felt was instantaneous. While she was grieving the loss of their home, while she believed they were facing financial Armageddon together, her husband was sitting on a fortune. The trust was shattered. In that moment, the narrative in her mind flipped. She wasn't the supportive wife navigating a crisis. She was the victim of a massive, selfish deception. And that victimhood would soon curdle into a plan of her own. Our investigation has uncovered the identity of the third player in this tragedy, a man we will call Joseph. Joseph is not from the reality TV world. He is a successful, semi-public figure in the Portland business scene, known in certain circles for his lavish lifestyle and connections. He and Tori, we are told, met over a year ago at a private charity event. He was charismatic, financially free, and presented a stark contrast to the stress and secrecy Tori was beginning to perceive in her own marriage. What started as innocent friendship, according to our sources, quickly escalated into an emotional affair. Tori began confiding in Joseph about her marital struggles, and he presented a sympathetic ear and a vision of a life without financial worry or deception. He became her escape fantasy. And after she discovered Zach's secret account, that fantasy began to look like a tangible plan. With the money from the house sale about to hit their joint account to pay off the debt, Tori saw her window of opportunity. Using information from the statement she found, and likely some social engineering, she was able to gain access to Zach's secret account. Working with Joseph, who had international business contacts, she orchestrated a complex series of wire transfers. Over a 48-hour period, the entire $950,000 was moved. It didn't go to a single account. It was routed through several shell LLCs, later traced back to Joseph, before a significant portion was sent to an offshore bank account in the Cayman Islands. It was a sophisticated, premeditated financial maneuver. By the time Zach logged in to check on his untouchable safety net, it was gone. Zeroed out. And so was Tori. Zach had been out finalizing the paperwork for their new rental property. He returned home to a scene of utter desolation. The house was empty, not just of furniture, but of life. Tori's personal belongings, the children's most cherished toys, their passports, all were gone. There was no note, no text, no email. Panic set in. Calls went straight to voicemail. He alerted family, then the police. For 72 hours, the world held its breath. Where was Tori Roloff? Where were Jackson, Lila, and Josiah? The public story was a frantic search for a missing mother and her children. The private truth, as we now know, was a meticulously planned escape. While Zach was frantically searching, our investigative team was piecing together Tori's movements. Using credit card statements and hotel records obtained for the subsequent lawsuit, we can now reveal her whereabouts. Immediately after the wire transfer was complete, Tori and the children flew to New York City. They checked into a $2,000 a night suite at the Plaza Hotel. 2 days later, Joseph joined them. For the next week, they lived a life of luxury funded by Zach's life savings. This was not a one-off. Our timeline shows at least 4 other occasions over the past year where Tori, using the cover of Girls' Trips or Visiting Family, had clandestine meetups with Joseph in 5-star hotels in Chicago, Miami, and Las Vegas. Each trip was a lie, each a deepening of the betrayal. Back in Oregon, Zach was working with a private investigator and forensic accountants. It didn't take long for them to follow the digital breadcrumbs. They discovered the wire transfers, they traced them to Joseph's companies, and they uncovered the hotel receipts. The full, horrifying picture came into focus. Not only had his wife stolen from him, but she had been living a double life for a year and had now fled with his children and his money to be with her lover. The moment Zach was presented with the evidence was, by all accounts, the moment he broke. The dual betrayal, financial and romantic, was too much to bear. His marriage was over. Any love he had left for Tori evaporated, replaced by a cold, hard resolve for justice. Zach did not hesitate. He filed an immediate, explosive lawsuit against Tori Roloff and her co-conspirator Joseph. The charges were severe: grand larceny, embezzlement of marital assets, fraud, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. He also filed for emergency sole custody of his 3 children and a restraining order against Joseph, alleging he was a flight risk and a danger to the children's well-being. The legal documents, which we have reviewed, lay out the entire sordid timeline in stark clinical detail. It was this lawsuit that ripped the story from the shadows of rumor and placed it squarely in the public record. The perfect family image was not just cracked, it was legally and publicly annihilated. The divorce proceedings were swift and brutal. With the evidence so overwhelming, Tori had little ground to stand on. The marriage was legally dissolved. Based on the evidence of her instability and criminal activity, Zach was granted primary physical custody of Jackson, Lila, and Josiah. Tori was granted limited, supervised visitation. The impact on the wider Roloff family was catastrophic. Matt, Amy, Jeremy, and Molly were all blindsided. The family was fractured, forced to take sides in a war they never saw coming. The legacy of Roloff Farms, built on decades of hard work and family values, was now permanently tarnished by scandal, theft, and betrayal. The civil lawsuit was only the beginning. The district attorney's office, armed with Zach's evidence, filed criminal charges. Tori and Joseph were arrested upon their return to Oregon to face the custody hearing. They were charged with multiple felony counts. Facing a mountain of evidence, both took plea deals to avoid a lengthy public trial. Joseph, as the orchestrator of the money laundering scheme, was fined a massive $700,000 and sentenced to 5 years of probation. Tori, for her role as the inside accomplice, was sentenced to 3 months in a minimum security prison, followed by 3 years of probation, and was ordered to enter a mental health and substance abuse program. The woman who was once America's sweetheart was now inmate B78114. So where are they now? Zach Roloff is a single father trying to rebuild a life of normalcy and trust for his children. He is reportedly focusing on therapy and creating a stable, quiet home, far from the spotlight. The $950,000 is largely gone, lost to offshore accounts and legal fees, a permanent scar. Tora served her sentence and is now a virtual ghost. She lives with a family member, stripped of her influencer status, her teaching career likely over, and her relationship with her children forever altered. Joseph, financially crippled by the fine and his reputation in ruins, has retreated from public life entirely. The price of their deception was everything they had. The story of Zach and Tori Roloff is a modern-day Greek tragedy. It's a stark reminder that the personas we see on screen are just that, personas. It forces us to question the very nature of trust and how quickly it can be obliterated by secrets and greed. Their little world was brought down not by the challenges of dwarfism, but by the all-too-human failings of deception and betrayal. It's a cautionary tale about the corrupting influence of money and the devastating cost of a broken vow. This is a story that continues to shock and divide fans. The layers of deception are almost too many to count. But now we want to hear from you. What is your biggest takeaway from this tragic story? Do you believe the legal consequences for Tori and Joseph were severe enough or too lenient? Could any of this have been avoided if Zach had been transparent about his finances from the beginning? And most importantly, what does this say about the pressure of reality TV fame on a relationship? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We read every single one. More update. LPBW drama. Tori Roloff faces backlash amid family tensions. Little People, Big World star Tori Roloff has recently stirred controversy after taking aim at her husband Zach Roloff's shortcomings, leaving fans divided. While some viewers sympathized with Tori's honesty, many accused her of using her children for attention and financial gain, claiming she's turned family moments into social media content for profit. Others went even further, criticizing Tori for her rude and entitled behavior, saying fame has changed her attitude. However, amid the criticism, Tori shared a heartfelt story about how Zach recently stepped up and supported her during a difficult time, reminding fans that behind the tension and drama, there's still love and teamwork holding their family together. I will explain everything. Famous Little People Big World star Tori Roloff publicly criticized her brother Zach, wondering what Tori thought of her spouse and what the fans thought of her comments. Celebrities Zach and Tori Roloff of Little People Big World have been busy with their own lives since they announced their departure from the family TLC show following season 25. A lot of people saw Zach and Tori's departure as the last straw even back then. Recently, Amy Roloff broke her silence over the status of Little People Big World, according to updates. There are currently no plans to film any future sequences from Little People Big World, according to her. So Zach and Tori's departure was the catalyst for all of this, in many respects. Anyone who follows the Roloffs on social media knows that they're constantly the targets of criticism. You can always count on it. The latest developments, however, suggest that Tori decided to take matters into her own hands and openly criticize her husband. Would you like me to repeat what she said? In a recent Suspect challenge on TikTok and Instagram, Tori Roloff was a participant. Here we have a problem where individuals call their partners suspects, and then we see them criticized for their peculiarities and poor habits. Tori let Zach have it as the suspect this time around. Tori Roloff has it that she stated, "Suspect, 34, and still knows to make scrambled eggs and cereal." This was just one of many instances where Tori shamed her husband. She was unreserved in her criticism. The Roloff twins, Zach and Tori, are always the target of jealousy from Little People Big World viewers. Much to the dismay of many viewers, Tori effectively roasts Zach in front of them. Who would want their kids to grow up thinking it's their dad never learned to cook? Asked one user. It's a basic life skill. According to another commenter, after 9 years? If I had posted that, I would have felt terrible shame. Somebody else spoke out and said, I am overwhelmed. The whole lot is bad. Whoa, that's embarrassing for them both. Something like, how embarrassing, was added by a fourth individual. Who can confess to doing such a thing? LPBW fans blast Tori Roloff using kids for money grab. Tori Roloff's most recent money grab involved using her children, and fans of Little People Big World wasted no time taking to social media to viciously criticize her. So why are Tori's admirers so mad at her? Especially considering that Zach and Tori Roloff left Little People Big World after season 25. Viewers could be curious about Tori's financial situation in the absence of future payments from TLC. She supplements her income in part by using her position as a social media mom influencer. There are a lot of people watching Tori's Instagram posts because she has over 2.1 million followers. But this is more than simply views. It's a source of income that Tori can depend on time and time again. Tori Roloff promotes products and forms agreements with numerous firms on a daily basis, thanks to her enormous social media following. From a business perspective, it makes sense for Tori to cash in on her massive following, which rivals that of many famous people. Tori Roloff pushed a vitamin brand named Mary Ruth's in her most recent money grab. For kids aged 4 to 12, the business has vitamin gummies and other sweets. My kids beg for the vitamins every single morning. In a recent Instagram story, Tori Roloff also included the company link. Fans of reality TV usually anticipate that their favorite stars would attempt to monetize their social media followings. Everyone does this, and it's well known. A lot of Little People Big World viewers, however, are upset with Tori Roloff for her current money grab because of the blatant way the mother of 3 used her children to make money. Because most users can't fathom that Tori's children beg for the vitamin first thing in the morning, many also criticized what they perceived as a flagrant falsehood on her part. Although Tori is making an effort to maintain that source of income, many feel that she went a bit further in this particular case. Stop pimping your kids and get a job. One commenter on Little People Big World stated, "Keep in mind that time she boasted about her position as a teacher." Another added, "Nah. The commission is her only goal. Her whole Instagram is just advertisements," a third commenter said. "Since Zach has never worked and she has also spent most of her life unemployed, I suppose she's gotta pay the rent." LPBW fans unload on Tori Roloff for nasty manners. Following what they perceive as an egregious instance of Tori Roloff's lack of manners, Little People Big World fans recently turned on the actress. What then transpired with the mother of 3 lately to cause such a stir among the audience? Many people followed Tori Roloff online solely for the purpose of trolling her, despite the fact that her social media following exceeds 2 million followers. When Tori doesn't mean to, she sometimes makes it so easy for her fans to do exactly that. The length of time Tori and Zach Roloff spent filming Little People Big World, until their eventual departure after season 25, makes you vulnerable to the critics and detractors. Tori, according to many viewers, adds fuel to the fire by sharing some of the most negative comments and comebacks. Tori Roloff's recent shenanigans were met with plenty of criticism from Little People Big World supporters, who listened to the most recent podcast episode with Zach Roloff and Tori Roloff. To prove her point, Zach tried to speak, but Tori kept cutting him off. Zach Roloff has always had trouble expressing himself, something Little People Big World viewers have witnessed throughout the years. His typical facial expressions include looking down, aside, or even picking at his face when the cameras roll. Following the most recent developments between the two and their podcast on Raising Heights, many Little People Big World fans scolded Tori for her persistent interruptions of her husband, describing it as impolite and illustrative of poor manners. Some viewers of Little People Big World have lately brought attention to the fact that Tori Roloff interrupted Zach multiple times in the most recent episode of the Raising Heights podcast. Despite Zach's best efforts to direct her attention to the problem during production, in the eyes of many viewers of Little People Big World, Tori Roloff intervened when Zach struggled to organize his thoughts or even utter a word. Numerous viewers have also been known to constantly slam Zach. However, many people did not like how Tori would quickly jump in on recent podcast scenes, leaving him with little time to speak. According to a fan of Little People Big World, Zach has become much more adept at politely asking her to hold on or interjecting when she begins to do so. Something needs to change with her. It seems like everyone is focusing on her. Nah? An additional user quipped. Good manners dictated. Naturally, she aspires to play the lead role in the podcast. The fact that she still finds it necessary to interject whenever he brings up a subject directly related to his life is quite amusing. Tori Roloff shares how Zach stepped up and saved her. Tori and her husband, Zach Roloff, discussed their time filming for TLC, and Tori often thanked her husband for saving her. Zach was an alum of Little People, Big World. It turns out that filming with a crew may really be quite intrusive, as some show viewers found out. They likely halted filming for that reason and others after Jackson Roloff expressed his desire to have his second leg operation unfilmed. The Little People, Big World actors have begun a podcast series titled Raising Heights since announcing their departure from the show. The fact that viewers learn more about the couple outside of the show is a big draw for many viewers. There were some who thought the podcast would be a bust. 102K subscribers are currently on YouTube, though. So far, Tori Roloff has told TLC viewers about her meeting and marriage to Zach Roloff. In addition to discussing their departure from the show, they touched on several topics, such as managing their body image. She addressed the advice of a personal trainer to have surgery body restoration following the third child in Season 2, Episode 5. During the same program, which was called Our Struggles with Body Image, she brought up a producer. A sneak peek of the show was posted by the ex-Little People, Big World star to Instagram. She detailed the several occasions when Zach Roloff had rescued her from potential invasions of privacy in it. She captioned the photo with, "God bless Zach's heart for constantly coming to Tori's rescue when she wasn't feeling well. Get raising heights right now." "We were filming one day," she said in the reel, providing more context. "Just my uniform, including the leggings, I suppose." "And she walked in and asked, 'Is that what you're wearing?' I believe she was a producer back then. 'Would you be able to put on some jeans?' It was terrifying for me. Plus, I was a complete brat. But I realized, this is where I feel most at home, at that very moment. This is my strong suit, and I refuse to compromise it for anyone else." And Zachary? Poor Zachary had to take the grunt on every one of those times because I'm like crying in the bedroom, continued Tori Roloff. Just because she had a hard time finding an outfit that was comfortable doesn't explain it. "Okay, we're done filming for the day," Zach Roloff had to say, playing the role of the villain. Rather than agreeing that the Little People, Big World star was a brat, her supporters were quite encouraging. "My thoughts are as follows. The producer in question should feel embarrassed for crossing the line, which is more accurately described as defining limits rather than being a brat in my book. She ought to have the freedom to choose her own attire. Tori is hurting. Zach deserves praise for being encouraging. I could only squeeze into one dress by the time my twin pregnancy came to a close. I was like, this is it. Take me or leave me." Zach and Tori, you're doing great. Setting limits is beneficial. You should be proud of yourselves for standing firm and being authentic. During and after my pregnancy, I dealt with enough self-doubt. What it would look like under a microscope is beyond my comprehension. No more today. What are you thinking about this gossip today? Let us know in the comments, and stay tuned by subscribing to our channel to get more updates like this. Thank you.